Tech, are there we go. So, yeah, definitely welcome to Black Love in Action. Tonight I am Talibo Booya, and I'm excited to be co-hosting tonight with my comrade Asani.
Hey, free the land.
Free the land. So in New African tradition, we are going to just open with a slight with the libation. This libation is offered for those of our ancestors, for all of our ancestors and our freedom fighters. And then particularly tonight, we wanted to honor and lift up some recently fallen soldiers. I believe we're sharing screen. And so we pour this offering to the ancestors of our freedom fighters, of our freedom soldiers, those who committed a lifetime through their actions, through their commitments, through their dedication to love Black people in action and with action, so thus we may be free. Ashe. We offer this libation to those who have marched, those who have organized, those who have spoke, those who have dreamed, and those who ultimately had their freedoms taken because in spite they decided to love Black people in action. To those that we have known, and to those who are unknown, to those who have been named and those who are unnamed, to those who we have fought after they have fought for us for their freedom, we pour this libation and we say Ashe. To those who courage carve the paths where none existed before, may we honor your labor with our own. May we carry your lessons forward, and may we move with the same fire for justice and for liberation, and thus freedom. We say Ashe. And so tonight we begin with honoring our recent fallen freedom soldiers, our political prisoners, and our political exiles, and then also for former prisoners of war. And so we lift up Queen Mother Assata Shakur, Ashe. We lift up Baba Imam Jalil al Amin, who, although incarcerated, never stopped his quest for freedom physically with himself, but also for his people and against the systems that unjustly held him in prison. We say Ashe. And we also lift up Mama Tamu, Queen Mother Tamu Kanyama. This is one who was of the RNA 11 in Jackson, Mississippi, who, although were faced assault and various bullets towards him, was able to not only protect those of the RNA 11, but also those children who were at the home, and none died that day, who then went on to continue to love and educate our community and our children through a founding school in her honor, TSK, and we say Ashe. We offer you all each to lift up our national movement leaders in the chat box, and I may read them out. Our shared collective ancestors and movement leaders. Okay. So with that, I hear we say Don Freeman, Ashe, lift up Sojourner Truth, Queen Mother Moore, Baba Mutulu Shakur, and to that we say Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Chuck White Lumumba, Dr. Betty Shabazz. I'm saying sorry, my brain have a slight delay over here on my side of tech. Nubia Lumumba, Ashe. And I welcome you all to continue to lift these names up, to invite them into tonight's event, into this kickoff, to this week of action. Yes, Sister Ella Baker, Ashe. We also take a moment of silence for the political prisoners who are still behind the walls, who seek their freedom. Ashe. So without further ado, we welcome in you all and we welcome in our ancestors. And once again, we say Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. So I hand it back to my co-host, Asani.
Hey, Ashe, that was beautiful. So my name is Asani. First of all, free the land. Welcome everyone. We are so excited to be able to be in community with you and kick off our 2026 Black Love in Action. Um, as Taliba said, my name is Asani Nziga Baraka, and I use any pronouns, and I'm an organizer with the Chicago chapter of the Malcolm X Grassroots Movement and the Free 'em All Committee. The Malcolm X Grassroots Movement is an organization of Black New African people who believe in our right to self-determination, self-defense, and self-respect. We situate ourselves in our long legacy of revolutionary struggle for the liberation of our people. We organize in 8 chapters across the country around our 6 principles of unity, including the demand of the release of all political prisoners, prisoner of war, and our comrades in political exile. This is why we are here today. In the chat, I would love for you guys to introduce yourselves. Where are you coming from, and why it is important to fight for our political prisoners. So I'll give a minute for folks to reply to that prompt. Well, I'll say why I believe it's important to fight for political prisoners and political prisoners of war. It is because political prisoners deserve to be outside, and they are important here. Um, and living their life, being in community with us, um, instead of having to deal with the state in such a gruesome, way. And these are people who, like Taliba said, loved and cared about people, especially the liberation of Black people, and those people shouldn't be punished for that. Um, yeah. Um, Yeah, someone said, Kana said from Oakland chapter, they are our heroes and our young people need to connect and learn from and with them. Free them all. Yep, free them all. A Jordan B said, I learn more each time we reflect and pay homage to political prisoners. Of course. Um, okay. Gretchen here on the unsetter. Piscataway territory colonized as DC. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but thank you for uplifting indigeneity in this space. I was pulled to this organized community when working for the Angola 3. Oh, amazing. And I was devastated how many people will never learn the wisdom of so many elders behind bars. I fight for the liberation of all in prison. Thank you so much for what you do, Gretchen. Appreciate that. Connie, tuning in from Atlanta today. We must fight for our political prisoners because it's the least we can do for their leadership and sacrifice. Yep. Because our freedom, um, is bound together because our work to ensure their freedom and tell their stories builds us as people and as a movement. It certainly does. Um, and then political prisoners levied a heavy kai from DE. I don't know what that is. Political prisoners levied a
Mhm.
heavy, huh?
I was gonna say Delaware. It's good.
Oh, Delaware. Sorry. Political prisoners levied a heavy sacrifice and provide us a compass vital to lift them up, but also learn from their method and learn where applicable, of course. Yeah. Um, Okay, awesome. Thank you guys so much for answering that. Those answers were amazing. I am going to pass it back to Liba, but I also want to ask the question, tell us why you heed the call, free them all, to Liba.
Ashe, peace. Yeah, so peace, y'all. Again, I'm Talibo Booya with MXGM and the Malcolm X Grassroots Movement. I'm an organizer with our Free 'em All committee. And I was like, just for the sake of tonight and this year, an original member of the Free Mutulu Now campaign, which actually kicked off Black Love in Action and bringing attention to his fight for liberation 5 years ago. So excited to continue to still do this work and be building this as an institution for political prisoners. And what I would simply say is that, yeah, I heed the call to free them all because we can't inherently do this work. And if we understand our history, we know that ultimately the state will repress us. And so, as many of what you all said, that not only they simply were incarcerated for loving our people with action and inaction, and then it was criminalized and they were behind the wall. And how do we not dare to fight for them? And then, furthermore, I think it's affirmed that dare to struggle, dare to win. And we have indeed won, even over just the last 5 years of us kicking off the calls to bring about these awareness campaigns and these freedom campaigns. Looking back in preparation for 2026, a lot of those identified campaigns of Black liberation freedom fighters, we're bringing them home and we are winning. And so yeah, I'm here just to share that and then just share a little bit of Black Love in Action for Political Prisoners Week this year. It originated back with the campaign to bring home Baba Mutulu Shakur. And in victory, although that was a long fight, but the same year that we kicked off with this, we were able to bring home Baba Mutulu that December, and we got the word that he would be free and he would be released. And so, again, we're lifting off this week knowing that Black Love in Action affirms that love, when rooted in community, commitment, and collective struggle, is a powerful force for liberation. And so, we come tonight to kick off this powerful week that we have ahead of us. We invite you all to join in. Many things are virtual for the sake of making it accessible, but also that you can take this week of action into 365 and continue the fight for political prisoners. So after tonight, Friday, we would have Black Flicks and Chill. We're bringing that back and we'll be screening Eyes on the Rainbow at 7 p.m. The same link that you register for tonight. Hopefully you check the box for all week, and so you'll have the ad information to come back and join us on February 14th. DC is actually holding a People's Assembly called the State of Black Political Prisoners that will be in person, but we also are asking all local communities to reach out to free them all to talk about political prisoners, to do writing campaigns. And so we just invite you to the cities that you are in to look out to see if there is anything happening in your area. And if not, continue to follow us on social media, and we'll give you steps to writing political prisoners, to sending their information out on who you can lift up with political prisoners, and how you can ultimately join this fight. And at the end of the call, we'll tell you how you can build out your own free and all circle. We midweek through, we're going to be like say cool, and so that's just going to be a real beautiful, powerful evening on Sunday where we lift up Baba Sekou Odinga and we talk about his virtues and how can we replicate. And then on February the 16th, we get to culture and love, because ultimately that what gets us liberation, and we're going to have a night of revolutionary poetry. So again, those of you all who signed up, hopefully you check that box. If we have some art and talent amongst us, we invite you to sign up to be an artist. It's a virtual open mic situation, so as authentic as we can get it to an open mic through the logistics of virtualness. We are going to be sharing some revolutionary pieces as we kicked off tonight. We see that organizing and demanding freedom. We never let the culture go, the art, with Veronica Bowers being on the flute, and spoken word artists and singers. That's just a part of the movement work. And then we're going to get to Free 'em All towards the revolutionary Ramadan, which will also be virtual. And we invite you all to come in to listen to that and get some pieces. And then we're going to be hosting a Kupi and Gami class, which is readying our bodies for struggle. So some physical movement, just getting into your bodies. It will be virtual. It will be accessible. And we invite you all to come out. No skill level is for that. And then in the honor of just being in practice now, we are celebrating happy birthday to Kamal Siddiqui. And we are urging local love notes and letter writings. And so you all will see in the BLA toolkit, ways to write these love notes to get these writings out. And so we invite you to come together and talk about Baba Kamal Siddiqui. He's a current political prisoner down here in Georgia, in Augusta. And so we know that again, like dare to win, dare to struggle and we will win. And so as we kick this off to fight for Baba Mutulu, we saw that the week ended on his birthday. And so with writing Baba Kamal, we invite you to also say, hey, we're thinking about you and you're not alone. And he gets these cards and he loves them. And so it will be great to continue that education of his freedom campaign as well. So
Awesome.
now we're going to hear some words of Assata Shakur again as we dedicate this Black Love in Action Week to our recent fallen soldiers. We're going to be hearing from some of their words throughout the evening.
Because I think that much more needs to be known out here in the world about what is going on in the United States, because the United States government always projects this image in throughout the world that it is a champion of human rights. And the reality of that situation is that the United States is the biggest violator of human rights, not only in the United States, but all over the world.
Right. I hope you all were able to hear that a little bit. We'll we'll drop links to the clips of their voices throughout the evening. Passing it back to you, Asani.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. So now we're going to do our panel. So it's the framing this political moment and connection to political prisoners. We have here today Jomo, who is a member of the National Freedom All Committee, a National Information Coordinator, organizer, member with the DC chapter. Um, Banneker City, Buckle of the Black Belt, Shakur Squad #1. And April, an organizing member with the DC chapter, Forever Chocolate City chapter. I'm gonna pass it over to Taliba to ask the first question to our wonderful panelists.
Okay, awesome. And I hate it so much. What's an evening without tech? Can y'all hear me okay? Okay, great, because I kind of lost volume from y'all on my side. So as we said, this is Black Love in Action Week 2026. Can you share with us what is the history of MXGM for fighting for political prisoners, prisoners of war, and political exiles? Why is this so important?
Right. One, just want to greet everybody with free to land and a free 'em all. Yeah, as I reflected on this, it was almost a question like, how do you tell a fish about the water that it is swam in, the water that it was born in, right? And really, since the conception of the Malcolm X grassroots movement and even the earlier conception of the New African People's Organization that created the Malcolm X grassroots movement as its mass association, political prisoners in the fight for their release has been at the heart of the organization and its creation, right? When we look at many of the founders of MXGM, many of them also former political prisoners or served time for fighting for freedom, right? Dr. Mutulu Shakur, many of them. And he teaches us that people struggle for liberation because they love people, right? And when we were in the middle of the campaign, like that quote kind of just stuck to us, right? And was like, when you understand that and you then understand the things that he was accused of, how could you not see those things as acts of love, right? It would be like, how do we talk about, yeah, they took $2 million from these corrupt ass bankers, right? For what? Not for their own personal benefit, but to fund a camp in Mississippi for black kids. That's the state's report on those things. And so the liberation of Assata Shakur, right? The sacrifice that was made there. And and then so when we understand then what was happening around the time the start of NAPO, there was this assessment that there was this retreat that was happening in revolutionary and left movements away from black self-determination and the abandonment of political prisoners, right? And so NAPO is then created to step into that gap to create an organization that can begin to address that moment, bringing together the various elements of the New African Independence movement that then led to the creation of the Malcolm X grassroots movement. And since, kind of 35 years later, it's like, I was like, man, y'all gave me the hard task, the unevenable task of trying to lay all of this stuff out. I just want to, one, apologize for everybody that I left out and all the things that I don't know. But it just feels like it has been part of again, at the very genesis of the organization, at its very heart. If we even understand the principles, right, before the addition of the sixth principle, the last principle at the start was calling for the release of our political prisoners, prisoners of war, and political exile. So it has always been right there, right up front, like at the end, and it's really been the genesis of our work. And so there's just so many sets of work that folks have been a part of, from the campaign to free Dr. Mutulu Shakur to the amazing Bandelis up in New York. I joke around and say in New African, Bandeli means freer of political prisoners, right? And has done tremendous work to bring our soldiers home and to continue to care for them after they have been brought home. A really important aspect that we're learning about as we get these victories and bring our folks home. To the work around popularizing or helping to bring Black August to the people through the concerts and even the work that we continue to do, continue to pass on the legacy of struggle that Black August represents, and members part of that, right? Mama Ayana, who I owe a call, right? Part of the founding of Black August, and so it has just been core to who we are. And why it's important. I think y'all did a lot of the work at the check-in question. I was like, yeah, y'all, every answer, yes. And then there's a way that the elders, and when we come in, they kind of beat you over the head, not beat you over the head, but they chant you out with the, like, no liberation struggle leaves behind their political prisoners. No liberation struggle leaves behind their political prisoners. And I as that sunk in, I was like, yeah. And then if you maybe not fighting for political prisoners, maybe you don't have a liberation struggle, right? And so there's a way that that continued fight around our political prisoners also sends a message to our enemies that we are not done fighting, right? That we're going to continue to fight to free the land. We're going to continue to fight to free our folks. And I also believe that that is a part of helping to defeat the defeatism that sometimes can be plaguing our communities, particularly in this political moment where people are saying it's not our fight. Said no political prisoner. Said no political prisoner. Right. And so there's it's just there. I just also we got to lift up. We got to name Baba Chokwe. Founder of both NAPO and MXGM, lawyer, becomes a lawyer to help free political prisoners, right? The RNA 11, all it's like you can just walk it back, pick a point. It has been just a part of who we are, and I think it's important that it sends a message to us. It sends a message to the people. It sends a message to those who oppose our liberation that we are still fighting. We're still here, and as we continue to always keep that spark going, there's a chance that again we ignite the new African uprising that's needed to free the land.
I say yes. And they are definitely at our backs. And I'm gonna stay on topic, but okay, belt buckle in the in the chat. You have now become a hashtag. Asani.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that was a amazing answer to the question. Okay, question two is how does political prisoners work relate to our current political climate from Ferguson and those uprisings, which were 10 years ago, and currently today with Stop Cop City 61, ICE raids and protest, repression, etc. And we want to like really hit the mark with like the political prisoners from like from Ferguson like Josh Williams and the political prisoners from like 2020 like Malik Muhammad. Like how is this work related to those political prisoners as well?
Yeah, so yeah, free the land, everybody. This is like an amazing moment to be talking about political prisoners. The first time that I deeply, deeply was touched by just the encompassing thought of what it actually means in real life to be a political prisoner is when I met Baba Sekou. Um, and the thing that he said to me, someone had asked, well, what do you think is the most important thing? And this was like 2000, I don't remember, but it was kind of earlier in the BLM movement. What is the most important thing you would say to us still here on this side of the wall as we fight that you wish more people would have known, but is really central to folks behind the wall, specifically political prisoners? And he said is um, it is not if the state is going to respond. It's when. And so when we think about all of the work we do, whether it's in the streets, whether it's our mutual aid, whether it's our self-defense, whether it's our political education, what we know is that the state will always respond. It always has responded. Um, and so keeping that in front of the things that we do and keeping that up, knowing that you, I, me, we could all be made political prisoners. And we see that that is increasing now, not just in number, but in scope, right? We're looking in a moment where we're seeing journalists who are having their houses raided, who are having, being arrested for covering protests, that all of the criminalization of dissent, whether it's then or whether it's now, is about sending a chill to people, right? It's about saying, you really want to think, do you really want to do that? Because you could be a political prisoner. Are you okay with being disappeared, right? Um, and the question there then becomes whether it's 2020 or back when our BLA comrades were faced with the same kind of decisions, um, that care we don't leave people behind, right? When you're in the street, are you in the street knowing that you are taking a risk for a community that you not only love because it is our duty to fight for, but can we also have we also shown and built um, what is necessary for the care, which sets the stage for when the state does respond, knowing that we are not alone, and in that way we honor each other, we honor those who have given all levels of sacrifice. um, and we know that that's continuous because the thing that we know is for every inch or victory that we see or may see, that state response will always and forever create some kind of backlash, right? Um, it will see resistance in itself as a crime, right? And then you get a criminalization of everything that can be termed dissent. Every time you look like you are dissenting. And buzzwords, right? Whether it was the Red Scare, the Lavender Square, where we're talking about Antifa, because apparently we be having meetings out here somewhere at some headquarters or whatnot. Um, and that whatever that thing is, it causes us to want to separate ourselves in word, in action, in all of the things that then makes um, ourselves and each other uh, far more vulnerable to the resistance of the state, right? And these are the things we know that there will be more political prisoners, right? Because they are always trying to make more, right? And this is why we fight for those who are there. This is why we fight to make sure that we are creating systems of care as folks come home, but also while they're inside. And so, yeah, I see this as continuous. It will always be. And so it's not just about the current flashpoints that we are really taking to heart our duty and the honor of being able to recognize what it means when the state responds.
Yeah, and even to that part, right, because what you both said, even thinking about the history, and this is not said and done, and we're just trying to free our political prisoners who are currently incarcerated, but you're saying the criminalization is expanding now. Why does it seem as though the state criminalizes protest and organizing and really just basic survival? And what does that mean for us then to fight back in both a defense of our people, but then also as an offense against the systems targeting us? Like, why must we continue this fight? And how do we create that dual offense and defense? Both of you, either one.
Go ahead, Baba Jomo.
No, after you, you was on fire. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it means that we have to redefine what is defense, right? We say it all the time. We talk about what is community defense, and we're building these community defense networks. But then in our minds, we have these like almost um, melodramatic, heroic, militaristic ideas of what that looks like. And um, we're not actually being we're not actually being realistic about what our people need to survive, right? And to survive means that we've got to block active harm, while we're also building what we need to survive, right? So we can always be on the defense, right? That is a exhaustive, sustainable way of living and building together. Um, but being able to identify um, when and have some discernment and political discipline around when and how we interact with the systems and institutions um, that are perpetuating this war on Black folks and other marginalized folks, um, that we defend in both, well, we fight in defense and offense, because we refuse abandonment, right? We refuse to overlook the importance of like legal support, public pressure. So yeah, because when we organize, that is I'm thinking about two different things right now, so y'all have to deal with my little neurodivergence. But I guess for me, what I'm saying is that at the same time, I think we spend a lot of times being split between what to do, what we have done, and what we should do next. But we do not have to choose. But we need to understand strategically where we are, who we're fighting, who the target is, and what's most likely to get us free without perpetuating this war on Black folks or perpetuating the institutions and systems that harm us.
Yeah, I'm glad I let you first because I don't have much on to add on to that, except for that I feel like there's in that like we have to talk about the need to build infrastructure, right? And that we don't so that we're not trying to build the infrastructure in crisis in when someone gets snatched in. We are trying to do that. That level of kind of preparedness is a form of offense and defense that really feels important. um yeah, because it feels like the question around why the state does this is obviously it's control. It's just to squash the dissent. It's COINTELPRO in all the ways. And this particular time around, I think is particularly interesting because when we track kind of the COINTEL era political prisoners, there were sets of organizations that have been targeted: the Black Panther Party, the New African Independence Movement, right? You ain't even got to be in a movement to get targeted, right? Right? And if we even understand some of the arrests of folks who filmed incidents of police violence, right? As part of this defense and this chilling effect that you talk about, April, right? That is the intent, and part of what we understand, like that was happening in the 60s when you read the work of the Black Liberation Army and why they took the actions that they took. They were like, it was a lot of pressure on the community, and we were willing to make a sacrifice to relieve that pressure, right? But that requires a level of organization. It requires a level of, we need the spirit of Geronimo Gijaga today, right? That's going to prepare us to meet the moment that when they decide to drop the bombs, because that's not out of their range, right? We've seen it with Move. We've seen it, in LA, right? It's not beyond. It's not beyond, right? If we'll make a mistake if we think that the stuff that we see happening in Palestine, the stuff that's happening in Venezuela is not possible inside this country, you're mistaken. You're absolutely mistaken. And to think that that fight is not going to find you, you're mistaken. So you best prepare ourselves, right? And that begins with building community, right? It begins with building community. And if you really understand, again, kind of at the heart of political prisoners is this love of community, right? Assata said it best, right? There ain't no liberation without community, right? And so I think that's part of the offense and the defense is building community and doing trying to what we're doing today. And we'll be doing through this week, right? Trying to build community with one another so that when the state comes, our hands are already held, right? And that we're able to firm our feet.
I think the last thing that I would add is just this framing around, and we talked about it a little bit, is that this ain't our fight, which is just still wild to me. Being here in DC and Southeast DC, Jomo will tell you, sometimes I just let them know, like, hey, ICE is over here again, FBI is over here again, because nobody's watching my little Southeast DC neighborhood. Last night, U.S. Marshals unalived a young man on the side of the city, and you don't hear about it anywhere. In fact, the streets were silent when we went out there last night. And so, thinking about the fact that these people, um, we know that what they do in immigration, they've already been practicing on us, right? And so that this over now creation and this militarization of like what's going to be it's just a new military. I mean, it's almost becoming like the IDF in that it is going to be like a paramilitary like force, ISIS. And so thinking about the fact that like we no longer can sugarcoat the fact that like this idea of it's not our fight or somehow immigration is not a Black liberation issue is literally getting us killed, right? Because what we know is that as long as we continue to act like Black people haven't always been migrants, when we talk about our folks all over the country, when we pretend like borders are not systems of control, right? Both physically as well as intellectually, violently, all of these things. And that's so when we're talking in this country about solidarity, about um, um, about what connects us, and what will get us free. These ideas that are just so old and really, they really are almost like giving people an excuse to no longer be engaged because they feel like they are not empowered, right? It is a way to say, um, in that way, that's something that we have to defend against as well, right? This making and normalization of um, somehow that these divisions that otherwise we realize are completely ridiculous, it somehow makes it easier for us to live, which actually just makes it until it comes to our door that there's not a way that after that we're no longer on the offense, and we want to be on the offense. But yeah, I think it's a misunderstanding of how anti-Blackness works, and how the state builds repression, to not fundamentally understand and fight for and against immigration as a Black liberation fight.
Wow, those answers were amazing. Okay, so we're on question 4. Um, and so with the current climate, like you guys were talking about, clearly the need to continue this fight is necessary. What are the different ways we can fight for political prisoners today? And what are ways we should be preparing to fight for the political prisoners of tomorrow?
I'll jump in this time. I'll go first. Um, One, I think it's a little bit of our motto, right? There's a little bit of a like, educate, motivate, and organize that needs to happen. We should educate ourselves around the current political prisoners. There are particularly when we talk about kind of COINTELPRO era political prisoners. There's still Kojo Bomani, Jojo Bolden, Fred Muhammad, Kamal Siddiqui, right? All of them part of the Black Liberation Army. Many of them, served well over their time. For if you want to like compare, like we like the equivalency of the thing, right? It's like they are well served past their time, which always speaks to the political nature of what it was that they did. It's like why are they getting special treatment if what they didn't have this extra weight to it. And so I think part of what we have to do is again learn from them, reach out to them. Many of them need their campaigns revived and revitalized, right? And so that's part of what we're trying to do, even with the Black Love in Action, and later when we talk about the Free 'em All circles, right? How do we build this? And when we were preparing for the fight for Mutulu, we were studying Nuhanda Abiodun, right, who is also a political exile in Cuba with Assata, and she talks about the need for a mass movement to get our political prisoners out, or we're gonna have to go in there, like say we're gonna have to be Sekou and go in there. And those, regardless of whatever option or path, that requires a level of organization, right? And so that is where we need to go. We need to educate ourselves. We need to get motivated. Right, political prisoners, again, they appreciate it. To hear a word, I was reading Tamu's book. She talks about when she was locked up as a political prisoner with the RNA 11, how the letters that she received just helped with the boredom that she experienced just being locked down, right? So those letters help stimulate their mind, help them keep connected. So that you don't underestimate the power of a letter, the power of communication, because their strategy has always been to isolate revolutionaries from their community. And so when we're taking that, we're fighting that isolation. And then we need to make sure that we are fighting our own isolation and alienation by being in with others, to don't do the work alone, try to get somebody to write a letter with, y'all get on a Zoom call, all those things, join, be a part of a Freedom All Circle, be a part, if you're part of an organization, make the demand that the organization take up the cause of political prisoners, right? At its highest level, every organization should be demanding the freedom of political prisoners. Every issue you can think of, there's a political prisoner that fought for it. Probably the same ideas that you have that don't seem so radical now was the ideas that got them imprisoned many years ago. And so it's always that call there. And then as we prepare for tomorrow, I think we have to organize. We also have to lift our horizon, right? I think that there are sets of now kind of new politicized prisoners because the repression hasn't stopped, right? And one of the things that political prisoners teach us is that the repression that we see on the outside has been tried and tested on the inside, right? That's whole Burton's book around tip of the spear, right? Right, that is the tip of fascism that pierces the prisons and then moves through that body and then into us. And so there's a way that, again, helping to understand that, to being able to build their ability to resist, strengthens our own. And so the Pendleton 2 in DC, in the DMV area, there's the Vaughn 17, right? Find a political prisoner or politicized prisoners. They're always happening. Be on the lookout for prison strikes, hunger strikes, right? Those are all moments of political prisoners becoming conscious, right? And we'll have to do some work with our elders who only see political prisoners if you've only been part of a particular era or particular organization, right? Well, we have to lift our horizons and see what's happening and figure out ways that we even cohere those folks in a way that helps strengthen our movement.
Yes, yes. Thank you. And thank you all for this panel. Thank you all for this powerful kickoff for Black Love in Action. As we continue this conversation, we pivot away from this panel. We want to say thank you for your time and your insight. Don't leave us. We might have more questions. If you all have questions or thoughts who are here with us tonight, please drop them in the chat so that we can connect, because again, we're lifting up Black love in action. We're saying that Black love is a verb, and we're demanding that you take action. And Jomo and April just gave you tons of ways to both plug in to understand these political moments. This is not something that we're doing from before, but we are continuing it now because it's necessary. And if we're stay ready, we ain't got to get ready. And so with that, and as we continue our night with this kickoff, what would we be without a little art, without a little culture? And so I'm really, really excited to bring up, if I may say, our artist in residence, another fellow comrade out of the set of Jackson, Mississippi, where Mama Tamu, who we've been lifting up tonight, is with, and with the RNA 11. Defeating there, because yes, we hear about Philly with Move, and then LA with Geronimo Jaga. If you do not know that name and maybe you heard it for a first time tonight, go ahead and Google it, because that's necessary for today also. But we have the people's poet, as we affectionately call her, as Halima. Fans already in the chat. Oh, okay, a little. And so we're excited to have you here, and I'll give it to you, Halima. Thank you so much for your art and your craft. What fire do you have for us tonight?
First, I'd like to say free to land,
Free to land.
Black love, free them all. I just wanted to mention that I worked on the campaign to free Baba Mutulu Shakur. And it was it's touching to have a win, but also recognize how long he sat behind bars, behind those walls for us. And for me, I think that heeding the call, and while we are focusing on political prisoners, we are also like healing for our ancestors as we're doing this work and as we're moving through. We have to do what they have asked us to do. And one of the things, oh, my curtain. I'm sorry. Okay. And we have to do what the ancestors have called us to do. And so my voice is in poetry, and I don't want to lose it. I am sharing with y'all. It is, some of y'all have heard it before, but it has just been on my heart to do. And so it's kind of a remix, and I'm going to just get to it because I'll start rambling. And I am a poet. I'm sensitive about my shit. So y'all just snap it up. You know what I'm saying? Um, okay. Blessings to those who came before us, to the ancient spirits and mysteries, from the ones that jumped to the ones that stayed or stole away into the night, for those stillborn in the South with rage in their blood and retribution in their hearts, who were herded away in shackles, silenced with masks and muzzles, fell unconscious in hot boxes, bled out at beating posts, force fed with a speculum, mutilated while picking cotton, made to wear iron collars, used as bait for gators, punished for their white raped into their veins, torn from their mothers to serve as pets, ripped from their families to breed, brutally murdered in massacres, sold from the auction block, deceived by the cross, attacked with water hoses and dogs, billy clubs and bottles, cages and cops, the tears of racist white women and their racist ass counterparts. See, I am from the South, where mouths drip golden blood and hanging mouths tell stories that look like black folks with afros being carried to slaughter. They are still lynching niggas at the Capitol, trading hoods for pens. Hey, Jim, who y'all hanging today? Because every bill expands policing and every suspect look like my son, white folks kill white folks too. Without being called violent, even though they stole people from a continent, authored the Holocaust, dropped bombs on Hiroshima and 3 little black girls in Alabama, killed Shaney, Schwerner and Goodman, Cynthia Wesley and Pearlie Golden, Emmett Till and Tamir Rice, Breonna Taylor and Khalif Browder, Fred Hampton and young Bobby Hutton, Malcolm X and Malcolm Ferguson, Rakia Boyd and Trayvon Martin, Medgar Evers and Ahmaud Arbery, Sandra Bland and Oscar Grant, Rayshard Brooks and Rasheed Carter, Tyree Nichols and George Floyd, Tatiana Jefferson and Michelle Cusseau. And let's not forget how they put knee to neck and sentence our elders to forever. Rest in power, Baba Mutulu Shakur. Them niggas had to cure. He brought healing to our people, and they hated him for it. Organizing behind the walls while captured, he loved the people. He died for the people. He exposed their treachery. Knowing these devils find pleasure in suffering. Because Mumia should be free, Kamal Siddiqui should be free, Fred Burton, Shaka Shakur, and Reverend Joy Powell should be free. But we got to fight while they seek compassion for white women to kill black men in their homes, or forgiveness for cops with no-knock orders, call them mass murderers, embrace them as they own, or as white boys that shoot up black churches if they can take their order. While we got conferences, grappling in group discussions about the power of black power to organize communities with inadequate funding that in reality should be reparations because we were ripped from our lands, stripped of our wealth, and punished for our resistance. Strategizing with good intentions and allies that are likely descendants of enslavers whose disposition is to subjugate and destroy. If we are not careful, we will build cults instead of communities because colonizers are cunning at disguising control. Brother Stokely said, if you confer upon someone else the power to free you, you are also granting them the power to enslave. And ain't we tired of begging? Tap dancing for people in mansions, attacking bodies, seeking reprieve from years of false democracy that hold our resources in red tape and rhetoric, intent on making poor people suffer so much so that they target and terrorize communities of color under the guise of working in our best interests when they could just divest funding from murderers, invest in our communities, and stop monitoring our every move. They treat us like lab rats. Medicate our thought processes, sentence our loved ones to cages run by narcissists, sadists, and sociopaths. So I feel like it's our duty to fight for our freedom because we have nothing to lose but our chains. We will build, we will fight, we will educate, we will organize. We will free the land, free the land, free the land by any means necessary.
Ashay.
I
Yes.
say.
so beautiful, Halima, the gift that you are. I'm hoping you loving all of that in the chat. You all, we clearly, you speaking your words, I think just centers inside and almost making me a bit emotional because y'all, I hope y'all heard the call through the art, and that's why that's also necessarily important. We hope to see you revolutionary poet night, but we also see why this is important, and when we fight they gonna do what they gonna do. But as Jomo said, if we already organizing, we already holding hands, we ready to ball those fists and continue to free and free the lands. You threw me off, girl, but that was beautiful. I'm trying to grab it back. So yes, thank you for that, Halima and Asani. I give it back to you.
Awesome. Yeah, that was amazing. Um, I really love that poem for sure. And there were so many gems in there. Like, man, that was incredible. Thank you so much for that. And so we are approaching the end of our BLA launch. Free 'em all. Call to action, dare to struggle, dare to win. When we struggle, we win. I mean, when we fight, we win for sure. And I want to uplift the victories. So the Bring Sandiata Home campaign, the Free Ruchel Umuji campaign, the Leonard Peltier campaign, the Free Mutulu Now campaign, and Franza Bowers, which are wins. Like Taliba says, when we fight, we win. We do actually win. Um, so please add in the chat some campaigns that still need support. We ask you to take action this Black Love in Action week of action with writing a political prisoner, sending money to their commissary, starting a free and all circle in your community to educate, agitate, and organize awareness and freedom campaigns. Um, so yeah.
Yes. And so again, you all, I am Southern. So the doors of the movement is open, and we sincerely ask that you all join it. And that wherever you find your lane to be, let's also include fighting and showing up for our political prisoners. Are y'all boycotting these different things, or y'all are saving $5 here? Let's go ahead and send it to their commissary. Let's challenge your organizations to adopt, to support, a steward, a campaign, and then you know yourself, you can join in with that part. We are wanting to hear, just as we close out, we did want to give, are we clearing up the greeting from Baba Jamil al Amin? Oh, yeah. Um, One of the ways, there we go. We know that we recently lost Imam Jamil al Amin, and as Sister Halima said, he should have been free, but we still carry on.
I want to end in the Swahili saying, it says, Lasima Tusinda Bila Shaka, which means we shall conquer without a doubt. Black power. They gave you Walter Washington of Washington, D.C., and you said we were making progress. That's not progress. See, it's no in between. You're either free or you're a slave. There's no such thing as second-class citizenship.
And so, with that, and as we kick off this Black Love in Action Week, we invite you to begin a Free 'em All circle. You can join this circle in your city. You can support and fight for our freedom fighters, and you can also begin to do that work building the offense so that we're not just organizing in chaos. And essentially, a Free 'em All Circle is a local organizing committee that are charged with raising awareness, leading political educations, doing teachings, engaging in letter writings and fundraising efforts, plan and execute a Black August commemoration, which is the Black August resistance. These are not celebrations, these are acknowledgments and active kazi towards freeing and advancing political prisoners and freedom campaigns. And so, um, with that, I hope you all are joining or following the National MXGM on social media to get these updates, to get plugged into this work. And we invite you into this so to continue that we may build this community. So when the state comes for us, that we are already organizing and moving it forward. With that, I give you revolutionary greetings, y'all. Black love, Black power, free the lands, and welcome to Black Love in Action Political Prisoners Week 2026. Thank you so much tonight, April and Jomo. Asani, you was great. Welcome to the fold. You did amazing. Thank you so much, Shalima.